top budget decks in Yu-Gi-Oh right now. My fellow brokies, I solemnly swear to always give you guys what you need, which are cheap, powerful Yu-Gi-Oh decks that can compete in this card game. Whether you are a new player getting into the game or a player that just wants to try a new cheap, powerful deck, I will always have your back. In today's video, I figured out some really powerful Yu-Gi-Oh strategies that you guys can be playing, and I'll be telling you all about them. Let's go ahead and jump on in. What's going on with y'all, big dogs? And it is an amazing day for Yu-Gi-Oh! I hope that's your day phenomenal. But if it isn't, don't let what happened at the beginning of your day ruin the rest of your day. In case you guys didn't know, it is that time of the week. It just so happens to be a day Monday, a particular time where I trick you into thinking that this is a Yu-Gi-Oh video, when in actuality, I want you to be a better person overall. Don't worry, big dogs, if you want to go ahead and stick to just Yu-Gi-Oh, there's time steps, but I recommend against it, as I've changed a lot of people's lives for the better. Today, big dogs, I have a confession to make. I've always had strong feelings for Yu-Gi-Oh, but for the past couple of years, I was never in like with Yu-Gi-Oh, if you get what I'm saying. You guys gotta give me grace. I will adopt middle school language just so I can get my point across. You see, Yu-Gi-Oh was my fine but never really was my main squeeze. Always felt that I had 6-7 other hobbies to get into, and I could always riz myself into something else that I liked. But then just recently, I crashed out. I realized that I genuinely enjoy playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And it very much helps that I have other things to do, like coaching, teaching, playing football, training, and everything else in my life. So one thing I want to say is that I want to apologize to you guys for not giving you all of me, all of my love. But two, I wanted to emphasize that if you have something that you used to enjoy doing and you want to realize if you genuinely like it, sometimes you just take a step back. That will allow you to clear your mind and make the correct decision. And you'll always make the right decision. Just like how it comes to these brokey Yu-Gi-Oh decks, I got 5 different decisions that you can be making. Some of these strategies are really strong and proven. Some other of these strategies are just really smart meta calls. And some other strategies are really cheap and are just going to get better. So let's go ahead and start off by talking about the elephant in the room. If you want to play one of the most powerful decks in Yu-Gi-Oh that is also on the budget, then Utopia is probably one of your best decks, which is crazy. Now give it a full pause. I'm not saying Utopia as a pure Yu-Gi-Oh deck. I'm actually talking about the Yugioh Utopia deck that just so happened to top YCS Anaheim and other events alike. Now this is the Omnimat Yugioh deck that topped YCS Anaheim, and I believe I showed it to you guys in my top 5 meta decks as well, but it just so happens to be a pretty cheap Yu-Gi-Oh deck, with the only real expensive card being 7th Tachyon, a card that is pretty good at boosting the consistency, but I wouldn't say is an 1000% mandatory card for a budget player, and with every other card being decently cheap, this deck's pretty good. I mean, as you guys should already know, Yu-Gi-Oh is all about floodgates, and this deck has quite a few of them. Whether it's Infernal Flame Banshee to be able to search Arch Nemesis Protos, not only does this allow you to be able to break boards, but it can lock your opponent out of special summoning certain attributes, all the way down to Harpy's Featherstorm with Castell the Sky Blaster, preventing your opponent from activating effects. It's actually crazy how this Utopia Yugioh strategy is really good at making rank 4s, and rank 4s seem to be some of the most problematic cards in the game. I personally think there needs to be a ban on Evil Storm Ouroboros because the card is not once per turn. You can essentially rip 2 cards out of your opponent's hand alongside of making the Arch Nemesis Protos combo, and possibly even a Castell Harpy's Featherstorm if you want to be extra safe. This deck really does have it all from a competitive to budget standpoint. The deck can easily be built for about $100, which is really good considering that Yu-Gi-Oh is a very expensive card game. And while I'm here, I would also like to say that Lunalight is a really good choice too. Though I did talk about both of these decks on my top 5 meta decks, they also happen to be really budget. Sometimes I like to say that budget is in the eye of the beholder because there are some decently expensive cards for Lunalight, like Lunalight Gold Leo almost being a $15 card alongside of heavy polymerization. But this deck can easily be built for that $100 range and still has that floodgate-like effect. Bugle's Get a Terribly Tired Taper is a Yu-Gi-Oh card that should have been banned a long time ago. But even if that card does get addressed, Lunalight Liger Dancer is really strong. You summon that card and you can win the game. So while these decks are considered budget, they're pretty much more on the expensive side of competitive and budget. I'm actually only going to count them as one deck and give you 4 other strong Yu-Gi-Oh strategies that are also cheap, and it's simply because your boy's looking out for you. I love you, and I did talk about it in last week's video. Now, a Yu-Gi-Oh strategy that has always been turning players' heads is Fire King. The deck is now budget with Fire King Olconics being reprinted inside of the Mega Tens. This card was once previously a $15 to $20 card. Now it can be picked up for about $5 as an ultra rare, which is really good. It was pretty much the only thing that was keeping this deck from being a cheap budget Yu-Gi-Oh alternative. And also quite recently, Fire King has been on a whole nother level. They've been using some pretty cheeky techniques to keep up with the card game. This version of Fire King did get a Made Bird World Championship qualifier top, and I think the person's name is Leonard Klein. As you can see, Fire King Dino is really a thing. How it works is that if you destroy Jirak Megalo from your hand, which go figure, there's cards like Fire King Island that can do that for you, you can use Megalo's effect to send Jirak Astro to the graveyard, and by banishing Megalo and Astro, you can be able to summon Jirak Meteor. Jirak Meteor then allows you to destroy all cards on the field, and if you're destroying Fire King monsters, you're actually in for a pleasant surprise. You get free summons, you get recursion, you get searches, you can pretty much get whatever you want. I never in a million years thought that my first love, Dinosaurs, would meld with my second love, Fire Kings, but it starts to make sense when you start to look down the Dinosaur tree. I mean, chickens are dinosaurs. You know that, right? And boy, you can be as racist as you want, because your boy about to fry him up and have some watermelon. I can't eat watermelon, I'm allergic to it. Now, what I do value in a budget deck is having a Yu-Gi-Oh strategy that you can put expensive cards in to maximize its potential. As you guys seen in that deck list, Dominus Impulse was in the strategy. It's not mandatory to play inside of the deck, but it does help considering that it's a pretty much all fire strategy. I think it's a card that Konami has completely f***ed Yu-Gi-Oh players on because it should have been cheap a long time ago, because it is a card that if you get your hands on, it makes your Yu-Gi-Oh strategy so much stronger, just like how if you get your Ravenwing Sleeves, that will 100% make your deck 1,000 times better. Look, big dogs, as you already know, I'm already hooking you up. Not only am I giving you some of the cheapest decks in Yu-Gi-Oh that are playable, I'm also giving you the best. So why not give you the cheapest sleeves in the game that are also the best? I've been using this on so many videos, this is like peeling. I gotta get into the pack of sleeves. And now let me show you how sexy these things are. Don't get too turned on. Make sure you guys go to TheCaliEffect.com to purchase your sleeves today. And if you guys want to take it a step further, make sure that you get in contact with your OTS store to tell Big Dog that they want to start carrying Ravenwing Sleeves too. I got their back. So, what was I talking about? Oh, yeah, Dominus Impulse. The card is actually ridiculous when you do get a playset of this card because you can use it in so many powerful budget decks. The fortunate thing is that you don't exactly need those cards to make the deck thrive, but it does make the deck better, which is also a reason why I think Labrynth is in a really good spot to be a crazy strong budget Yu-Gi-Oh deck. You guys gotta hear me out, man. Cali always played a big brain. Yu-Gi-Oh right now is about floodgates. But what if your deck doesn't abide by those floodgates? What if your deck is just set 4 trap cards and pass the turn? I think Labrynth has a legitimate shot at being a solid Yu-Gi-Oh deck. It's not special summon or even summon reliant, so the artifact Mjolnir lock and other things that players are doing don't hurt it as much. And it also can play floodgate Yu-Gi-Oh cards like Dimensional Barrier or even Different Dimension Ground. Hell, there's also the virus cards, which are sneaky good against decks like Yummy. Deck Devastation Virus does a really good job against that deck last time I heard. And Eradicator Epidemic Virus for decks like Lunalight. This is a very, very old Labrynth deck that topped, I believe, in July. Oh, actually, this is the deck list by Labrynth guy. I forgot his name. The dude that dresses up as Arius. Arius is a girl, huh? Anyways, I think that this could actually be a very viable strategy because you can search those cards like Dimensional Barrier. And since this deck isn't necessarily summon reliant, keep in mind most of your monsters are trap getting cards. There's actually a way to be able to play around these floodgates. Now, like I said, this version of the deck is relatively old, but I'll be putting a personal deck list of not only Labrynth, but all of the other Yu-Gi-Oh strategies on my Patreon as a special thank you for helping me be my editors if you guys want to see something a little bit more recent or something with a little Cali twang on it. Me personally, I have never given up on the Mommy Milkers, and I don't think I will to this day. It's a strong Yu-Gi-Oh strategy and probably is one of the best trap-based Yu-Gi-Oh decks of all time. And this is not me coping, big dogs. This is me standing on business. I genuinely think that much about Labrynth. But regardless of my cope, the next two Yu-Gi-Oh strategies are also going to fit a similar theme. These decks actually do have Accolade inside of this format. They've topped events here and there. I just don't think that there's enough eyes on it. While Labrynth is the best trap-based Yu-Gi-Oh deck, the best spell Yu-Gi-Oh deck is up for debate. Decks like Lunalight do have a lot of spells on them, but they're a little bit more monster focused. I think it's best to focus on a Yu-Gi-Oh strategy that is for spells. A Yu-Gi-Oh strategy that can almost do what Labrynth does. Ignore the floodgate in the room or play around it with really powerful cards. And that's where, in my opinion, Sky Striker becomes one of the better decks that you guys should consider. The deck is pretty budget, ironically, and with cards like Raigeki being good in this format, that's just another spell for you to use in your arsenal. Also, what players are starting to do is that they're playing Radiant Typhoon Vision. This card not only searches them Mystical Space Typhoon from the deck or the graveyard, it also allows them to draw 2 cards, then discard a card. The only drawback is that you have to have Radiant Typhoon or a quick play spell card. Seriously? An absolute menace of the Yu-Gi-Oh card, but how exactly would a good Sky Striker deck look? Apologize if I say this man's name wrong, but this is Mihail Petronovic's Sky Striker deck. It's actually really smart. Ghost Bell is your only hand trap because the card is a great going second card as well as going first, and the deck can literally tear a board apart. You even have a searchable Kaiju in the deck if everything goes upside down. I know for a fact that Gooners are gonna goon when it comes to their particular deck, and I'm not saying I agree with the practice of the Sky Striker players, but I think we can have an agreement here. I will agree that the deck is a cheap and powerful Yu-Gi-Oh deck. You guys will try your best not to act awkward in front of a group of people. That sounds like an agreement? Don't shake my hand. I don't trust where your hand has been. In all seriousness, guys, I think that Sky Striker is actually a pretty good Yu-Gi-Oh deck, and it just so happens to be budget. It also helps that the deck is getting more support in the future and will probably be one of the better decks in the game. But now that brings me to my last Yu-Gi-Oh strategy, and before I talk about it, I want you guys to post down below in the comment section what are some Yu-Gi-Oh strategies that you have been rocking with that are good in budget in this format. I genuinely feel like if you are a TheCaliEffect fan, you're probably going to guess what I am going to say is a top budget deck before I even say it. I'll even give you multiple choices. Is it Salomon Great? Is it Regenesis? Is it some Unchained Fiend deck? Or Memento? Rather, I cooked myself. We know what it is. Unchained is still a decently expensive deck. Salomon Great is amazing in my dreams. Regenesis does do some things, but it's Memento. In my opinion, Memento just simply doesn't get enough love. It is a K9 deck when it wants to. As you can see, this build can summon K9 the Ripper, but it's summoning it because it's a free monster negate. It is a board break deck when it wants to, meaning that you don't have to play hand traps, but cards like Ghost Bell really do help. This deck is awesome at so many things, but the best thing is summoning a monster stronger than Obelisk the Tormentor and winning the game. I genuinely don't even know what I can tell you about Memento. It is a very fun deck to play with intricate gameplay, and it's also one of the best decks in the game simply because it rewards you for intricate gameplay. It also helps that cards like Memento, Bone Party, and Anguint were reprinted inside of the Rarity Collection set, so I think you can get a Memento deck for maybe about $20. It's almost criminal how cheap this deck is. Well, that's all that I have for the top budget Yu-Gi-Oh decks of this format. Again, I want you guys to let me know down below in the comment section what are some other good budget Yu-Gi-Oh decks that we could be playing. Don't hog the sauce. Also, big dog, do what my shirt says. You gotta go Sonic for them Ravenwing sleeves. You better hurry up before we sell out again. I hope you guys are having an amazing day, and I'll be sure to catch you on the next video.